Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Is it true that there are 4 levels of worship that a Murid should try to attain? The worship of Shariat, where you worship without seeing anything but yourself. Then moving to the worship of Tariqat, which is to worship as though you see Allah. And then moving to the worship of Hakikat, which is worshipping as though you see Allah and you see Him. And finally the worship of Marifat, which is where Allah sees only Himself in your worship. Is this a correct understanding?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is asked by some of our Murids from Malaysia. The understanding of the Osmanli Naqshbandi Murid following Shaykh Abdulkerim Kibrisi Rabbani in the Osmanli Naqshbandi tradition from Sultan al-Awliya, that we must worship behind our Shaykh. Full stop. Don't worry about worshipping according to the level of Shariat or Tariqat or Marifat or Hakikat. These words have become philosophy in these days. They have become things that people can talk about a lot, write about, but it doesn't have any meaning. Because people who are tasting what Tariqat and Marifat and Hakikat, they don't talk about it. For the most part, it's forbidden for them to talk. You know who they will talk to? Those ones who have tasted. Those ones who have tasted, then they can compare notes. Those ones who have never tasted, why talk about it? They will never taste it. They haven't tasted it. You cannot. So, what is this kind of questions? It is very philosophical. It is very tasawwuf book based. Belonging to this way, we say these kinds of things also, so many people in discussing them can play games, and it's very easy. Because leave Tariqat and Marifat and Hakikat. If we ask, what is Islam? What is Islam? Majority cannot say. And those who have the answer, they say, I have not gone through it yet. I have not even gone through Islam. Much less so Marifat and Hakikat and all this kind. This is the Naqshbandi way. Where is my dalil for this? Once Sultan al-Awliya, our Grand Shaykh, Abdullah, that he was in Hajj, and as you know, he did not even speak Arabic. He doesn't even speak Turkish. He speaks a very distinctive dialect, Kafkas area, Dagestan area. But all these big sheikhs and all these alims and ulama, they were coming around him, asking him to open up certain knowledges, and these knowledges they've never heard before, but they know it is true. So there are some things that's given to people. It is not through discussion, it is not through understanding also, it's given. So the Sultan al-Awliya, and at that time, he is the Sultan al-Awliya, the Sultan of all the saints, the one who is heading 124,000 saints, the one who is representing the Holy Prophet ﷺ on earth. How many murids did he have? A handful at that time, a handful. So it is not according to how many people are following you to tens of thousands. But we see today, those ones who have tens of thousands of people following them, with one blow, they fell down. Shaykh Abdullah Dagestani, he was in the Hajj, and there was this mahzub person who is, certain things are open to him from the heavenly stations, and their mind and their intellect and their bodies cannot take it, and something just short circuit a little bit, and they are always witnessing the reality of this world. And this Mazhub is saying him, oh yeah, Shaykh. He says, are you a Muslim? As we said before, leave hakikat and marifat, Islam. These kinds of things, so many people don't like to hear because they enter into tariqat to be able to talk about these high level things. They don't like to talk about the very basics. They don't like to talk about foundation. Some people, they even look at Shaykh Maulana and Shaykh Efendi sohbat and they say, this is very low level sohbat, just talking about ego all the time, very low level. We want to talk about marifat, we want to talk about sir, we want to talk about kashf, we want to talk about all those things. Then you're not understanding the way of Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq. You're not understanding the way of the Naqshbandi masters. You're not understanding the way that says the end of theirs is the beginning of ours. So, anyway, Shaykh Abdullah was in the Hajj, and this Mazhub came to him and says, oh Shaykh, are you a Muslim? And Shaykh Abdullah looked at him and says, oh my son, all my life I've been trying to answer that question, and I still haven't found the answer to that yet. Sultan al-Awliya is saying this to a Mazhub. The Mazhub started laughing, ha 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 ha. He says, MashaAllah. He says, you are the only one, he's saying. You're the only one who understands, you're the only one who passed. I've asked this question to so many alims, so many shaykhs, so many grand shaykhs, so-called. And every one of them look at me with such hatred. Every one of them look at me with such misunderstanding. And they say, how dare you ask us that? We here in front of the Kaaba, you're asking if I'm Muslim. So many times I got beaten up. Because people are very offended by the question. But Shaykh Abdullah was speaking something that is true. Because what is Islam? A submission. The one who submits to the will of Allah. Have you entered through that door? Out of the 6,666 ayats of the Quran Karim, from the ayats of power to the ayats of this to the ayats of that, to the Ismul Azam of Allah, Ismul Azam of the Prophet, there's so many things. It's there, yet the greatest zikr of Allah, it's nothing fancy, it's the most basic thing that we say. That someone who didn't know anything just entered into Islam says that ayat, and the one who's been all his life serving or worshipping at the arsh of Allah also says that ayat, and that is what? La ilaha illallah. It's endless. Out of the so many Ismul Azams, what is it that the Naqshbandi way is concentrating on? Allah, Allah, Allah. For people who are so proud, people who think that they know so much, people who play behind games, play behind words and ideas and philosophy and discussions, they don't like this kind of words so much. They say this is very basic. It's not basic. It is the most important. It is the foundation. So when you say what kind of namaz is there, what kind of salat is there, what kind of prayer that we do? For the Naqshbandi Murid, every kind of prayer that we do, should I say? If we are depending on our prayer, if we are saying we're praying and we're depending on our prayer, all our prayers are not accepted. Except what? The prayers that we say we're praying behind our Imam, behind our Shaykh, whether it is Zahir or is Batin. Yes or no? This is the reality of the maqam of intercession. on the Day of Judgment, no one's prayers, no one's deeds, no one's nothing is going to be accepted. It's not. It's not going to be accepted. Why? Because we do so many wrong things also. Not only that we do so many wrong things, the right things that we do is never 100%. The right things that we do, it is always corrupt, especially this time. It's corrupt. The prayers that we do, it is corrupt. The zikr, the hajj is corrupt, especially in these times. Oh, that means before that it was not corrupt? Let me tell you, even before this Akhir Zaman, not even the prophets on the Day of Judgment, they are going to depend on their prayers or their service or their good works. The prophets are not depending on that. What are they depending on? Shafaat. They're depending on intercession. Now for the Naqshbandi Murids to understand this is key. Don't do things because you think you're doing it. Do things because it makes Allah happy. Do things because it makes the Prophet ﷺ and your Shaykh happy. And you do things with the hope that with that, their intercession for you will be much stronger. Then that time you're not going to be too concerned about the different stations of prayer. Because no matter how much openings is given to you, even no matter how much mi'raj happens to you, which is BS anyway. No one is making mi'raj when they're making namaz. You see the carpet in front of you. But the Prophet ﷺ is saying for the believer that namaz is a mi'raj. You go to mi'raj. And then just with that, you go through everything there. What are you talking about? The Shariat and Tariqat, the Ma'rifat. You go through all of that when it is mi'raj. And that Prophet ﷺ is saying the namaz for the believer is mi'raj. But we don't make mi'raj. Nobody does. Except for the friends of Allah. They are also not going to say, yes, I make mi'raj. They will not say that. Because never they're doing anything that they're depending on themselves. So, the kind of prayer that you're asking me, what is the level of a murid of the Naqshbandi order? The prayer that is good and that is accepted is the prayer that you make behind your shaykh. Because your shaykh is not going to make prayer in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala too. If you ask Wahhabi, they say, yeah, I'm making prayer in front of Allah. But not even the saints, they're going to say that. They're going to say, I make a prayer behind my shaykh. And that one's going to say, behind my shaykh, behind the Prophet ﷺ. Only the Prophet ﷺ, in reality, he's making namaz to Allah. No? Beyond that, don't enter so much. Don't say, well, Allah is making namaz to you. Don't need to enter so much. That becomes a philosophy. You're not even understanding what it means to submit to your shaykh. How you can enter into the oceans of the prophetic reality. So, we hope by following our shaykh, following the awliya Allah, and gaining their intercession, we will be accepted. Not because what we're doing is great, but the way that the shoes of the Prophet ﷺ, it is accepted on the throne and divine presence. We want to be the dust, the dirt underneath that shoe. But because it's stuck to that shoe, not because it's worth for nothing, it's stuck to that shoe and that shoe accepts that dirt, it will be anywhere. It is still dirt. Don't think it is something else. It is still. Don't think because you are dirt stuck behind the shoe, suddenly you become the sultan. You're not. None of us are. If you understand that, what I'm speaking about, then slowly you're going to understand the Naqshbandi way. Tamam? Beyond that, not necessary for us to know. May Allah forgive me and Allah bless you. Can you imagine any Muslim that they say, we've reached to Allah, we don't need the Prophet? Can you say? I don't need the Prophet, I reached to Allah. Can we say? Wahhabis, they can say. They're out anyway. Can any Muslim, any Ahli Sunnah say that? If you say that, you are making a shirk. Why are you making shirk? Because Allah is commanding us to say that the kalima is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. If you cut that out and you say La ilaha illallah, La ilaha illallah, me, I'm saying La ilaha illallah, that's another big mess of a shirk you're making there. Because say there's nothing, there's no one, there's nothing to worship, there's no ilah but Allah, then what are you? You're saying there. What are you doing there? What are you doing there? But when we say La ilaha illallah, it is not to say illallah, it is say La first, La ilaha. Let illallah to settle itself. Illallah is there whether we are there or not, whether we understand or not. For our work, our job is to say La to that ilah. This is the Naqshbandi way. To say no to that idol, always to break that idol, break that idol. So, we are happy, just humble and behind our Shaykh. So we don't want to be anywhere or to be given anything if it means that we're going to be separated from our Prophet. We're not going to go anywhere, we would not like to go anywhere to be given anything if we're going to be separated from our Shaykh. This is something so many are not, they're not going to understand. So many tarikats they're also not concentrating on. But this is the way of Siddiqul Akbar, the second in the cave. Wa min Allahu tawfiq al-Fatiha. Amen.